Okay, so I'm back trying to do another one of these. Hey, let's try to explain the thought process videos. Like in the other video, I've got this Lost Keep Tier 80 Nightmare Dungeon. What I want to try and do is run that, and I want to try and talk through what I'm doing, why I'm doing, what am I thinking, other than, mind is a blank slate, empty mind of a moron. I mean, that there's a lot of that going on, but there are the occasional potentially useful thoughts. So let's talk through this, and I'll try to give you some sense for what the world's most mediocre Bulwark player thinks while they're doing a fairly mediocre job. So, transit through here. You're always trying to time this, or you want your first one still up when you encounter these. So you're trying to delay a little bit, right? But you're also trying to you want the CD to be not fully at 100%, which is to say not, you don't want to sit through the entire CD, so you don't want to pop it only when the enemies are there. You want to pop it a little bit ahead of time. So there's always some timing aspect to that. I hate these green ghosts. They seem to be either they're particularly strong, which is possible, or they're just particularly strong against this build, right? Which is also possible. I mean, they're weak builds and strong builds, but no build is strong against everything. For these knights, and I mean this is true for everyone, but it's really particularly true for knights where you can get in close. You just want to be on top of people. You may notice if you pop your Bulwark when you're too far away, and too far away can actually be pretty close, turns out still to be too far away, that you'll knock people back, which you definitely don't want to do. You want them on top of you, you want to be on top of them. That's how this build works best. And so a lot of the moves that I make are just to try to get into the middle of a group of enemies, right? Just to be where I'm not going to knock them back, or I'm going to knock them dead. I'm going to knock them out. That's definitely the goal. You see, similarly for that group of ghosts in the doorway, I want to get right over there, get on top of them. They want to fight from a distance. I don't want to fight from a distance. I want to fight from right standing on top of their heads. Anytime we get these big knights, you'll watch me walk over to try and take them on. They have a nice, pretty big one hit. I don't care about the knights errant. They'll poke you with it. It's really not that big a deal. I don't care. But those big knights, they have that big hammer whack. And, you'll survive it, unless, there are 4 of them or something crazy. But I don't want to have to worry about surviving. I want them to have to worry about surviving what I'm going to do. And so when I'm in a fight and they bring one of those big old boys over, I'm going to walk right up to them. We're going to have a meeting of the big homies, and we're going to find out who dishes out more damage, because I know what the answer is. The answer is me. I dish out more damage. But I'll pass up doing damage even to annoying people, like these annoying green... Yeah, you see I walked over to take care of both of those dudes. Now I'll come over here. There's a wraith. I want to get rid of these wraiths. That's a big, sort of power adder. Now we'll walk into the middle of these guys, and as soon as I can actually get Bulwark reset, we'll see what we can do with it. But that's a prioritization. You'll also find you can walk under, when the knights go to swing on you, the big knights go to swing on you, you'll find you can walk under it, or you can walk past them. You can walk behind them. That's just a classic. Blizz has always been kind of bad, and I think it's intentional. I think they're actually trying to be nice about it. Their enemies telegraph these moves so significantly. There's always the joke about World of Warcraft, that the way that you get attacked in World of Warcraft is, an enemy comes up, and the enemy looks at you and says, "I'm going to hit you." And then it says, I'm going to hit you in a second. Wait a second. Then it draws back in a big animation, and then it hits you. And nevertheless, people were complaining about, getting wrecked. Well, the enemy couldn't have been more clear with you about what it was going to do. And if you didn't react, then kind of on you, it feels like. And the same, in my experience, the same is true here. They, corpse bows notwithstanding, right? And that is a slightly different case. You'd have a legitimate complaint about the fact that they hide those SOBs off to the side of the screen. You don't see them, and then you're dead, and yada. Like, I get that. Did I not pick up that? Did I just not pick up that guy's key? All right. Well, I already said I wasn't very good at playing this, so you can't be that mad at me because I advertised that I wasn't that good. But did I just walk away from... No, apparently I did not. It thinks there's somebody else here. There it is. I hate that. All right, fine. So let's go kill that guy. But for the big knights, like, they telegraph that swing so significantly. Just step inside it. Step behind him. Get under that swing arch, right? And no problems. Just no issues. No concerns. You'll be fine. Pick this up, because why not? We'll go back to the... Kind of wish I had noticed that was still a short one. You all wouldn't have had to sit through all of that. And normally, I gotta tell you, I like to have ult up for this. Because you can clear these just so much more quickly when you've got ult, so you can pull everybody in. But I used that in the last fight, and it was, it was fine then. One of those two fights was going to be suboptimal, right? No matter what you did, just no two ways about it. You were going to have to track down somebody in one of those fights. Priorities for me in a fight like this: number one, if anybody's got that stupid vampire thing, I always want those guys, because if you're not careful about it, if you don't sort of focus them, they can be a real pain in the butt. Just 100%, that can be an issue. And so if I see that vampire mouth thing on somebody, like, they're getting axed as soon as I can do it. Similarly for the people who have the little flame thing, you notice me kind of repositioning. There's dodging. Oh, that was so hard. It was such a high-level skill that I watched him swing for 5 seconds and step inside of that. Like, not a big deal. Similarly, like I said, for the people who shoot fire, I want those guys gone. Like, they don't really hurt you that badly, but that fire can be very significant. I'll skip the big knight. Again, really hard to dodge that, as you can see. I'll skip the big knight to chase down one of those guys who's got the vampire affix attachment, because I just don't want to have to fight those guys. Like, back in the day when you couldn't one-shot all those dudes, I had fights that lasted, for several minutes against some vampire, because I'd wear them down, they'd get back up. Don't want to have to do that. Yeah, screw this guy. You really do have to be at least a little bit careful about some of those freezing aspects. Those were a problem. I feel like, in the Bulwark build, what I'm really the most afraid of is people who take away my ability to control my character, right? I feel like if I have voluntary control over what my character's doing already, it might take me a second, it may take a minute, but I'll get you eventually, and that'll be it, because all I have to do is win, just the one time. But if I can't play, if I'm frozen, if I'm stunned, if I'm susceptible to fear, like, if I can't play the character, that's going to pose a problem. And so I will prioritize, and I will continue to be afraid of those characters who can take that volition away. Right? That's probably true, frankly, for almost everybody. But it becomes, I think, oftentimes, as you get used to playing Bulwark, you actually become, in some respects, it becomes harder for you, because we're so unstoppable. Not, in the technical sense of that word in the game, unstoppable. We're so unstoppable so much of the time that we don't learn or don't retain some of the coping skills that more vulnerable builds do. Because what do you got to do? We're just going to walk in here, we're going to two-shot this dude, chug a beer, high-five the cheerleader, and go. If that's what you're used to, then you're not prepared for the kinds of evasion that you're going to have to do sometimes at these higher levels. And so you've got to maintain at least a little bit, right, of that fear, of that respect, of that, I'm going to be careful of these guys who can take away my ability to control my character and then kill me while I'm still waiting for that effect to wear off. And so anytime I'm going to fight with someone like that, they're going to be a priority, and I'm going to be mindful of those crowd control devices while I do it. All right. Those are the incoherent ramblings of a maniac. This has been a level 80 Nightmare Dungeon. Hopefully you learned something along the way, probably in spite of me. I'll catch you next time.